This happened to me around 3 years ago. My name is Jason, and I live in a small town with my family. I was 17 years old at the time, and I used to hang out with my friend David. We were just dumb teenagers, and there wasn't much to do in our town, as it just had one main street, a few shops, and a high school that had more classrooms than students. However, there was an abandoned subway in our town that wasn't used for many years, as it was shut down due to heavy rains. One night, David and I were hanging out at my place, and we were just getting bored. So I just suggested that we could go and explore the abandoned subway for fun. David agreed and said that we might even end up finding something valuable. So we head out. Once we reached the entrance of the subway, we turned on our flashlights and entered it. The tunnel was completely dark, and there were no lights except our flashlights. As we went deeper into the tunnel, our shoes got wet, as the tunnel had a lot of water in it because of the heavy rains, and the subway drainage system hadn't been maintained in years. We found many old things in the tunnel, like old newspapers, jackets, and even old women's handbags. David found the stairs that led to the subway tracks. I was excited, as it was the most fun thing we had done in a long time. We started talking to each other about how the subway used to be very busy when it was active and all. But then suddenly, David just stopped talking and told me to be quiet. I didn't understand and asked him what had happened. But he told me to be quiet again, and I saw his expression change. He looked like he was listening to something. David was facing in the direction of the tunnel, from where the subway usually used to arrive at the train station. David looked at me and whispered if I heard a noise. I told him that I didn't hear anything, and that he was just imagining things, or he was just trying to prank me or something. But then, all of a sudden, I heard that noise too. It sounded as if someone, or something, was screaming from the inside of the tunnel. David and I froze, not knowing what it was and what to do. I told David that it could be someone trapped and might need our help. So we agreed and went into the tunnel. As we went deeper, the noise got louder and louder. Suddenly, David just stopped and grabbed my arm, and when I looked at him, I could see a terrified expression on his face. I asked him what had happened, and he just pointed his finger towards the tunnel. And when I looked in the direction, I was shocked and horrified at what I saw. We could see something tall, too tall for a person, almost hunched over because of the height of the tunnel. Its skin, or whatever it had instead of skin, was pale, stretched tight over its bones, like it was too big for its own body. It didn't even have a face, just these hollow, empty spaces where eyes should have been. It was just standing there and watching us. I've never felt terror like that before. Then it started to move, slow, deliberate steps, like it was an animal that was hunting us. Suddenly, David screamed and told me to run, and I did. We burst out of the tunnel, not stopping, until we were completely out of that subway and back onto the main street. I didn't even look back. I just heard the sound of footsteps behind me. Too many footsteps, more than just ours. And that horrible screaming noise, louder now, almost like it was inside my head. We finally got out of that subway and made it back to my place. We sat outside my house, out of breath, silently, without saying a word to each other. After we calmed down, we discussed what we had just experienced, but none of us had an explanation as to what we had just seen down in the subway. One thing was for certain, that whatever that thing was, it wasn't human at all. That night, we didn't tell anyone what happened. We just went home, pretending everything was normal. I'm 20 years old today, And David and I are still best friends. But from time to time, we still discuss about our experience in that subway. We are just happy that we made it out alive. And I thank David for screaming and getting me out of that tunnel. Or else, who knows what would have happened if that creature would have gotten to me.